Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Let's get crafting. For this DIY, we're going to be using these Joy letters that I got from Joann's and used a coupon for them. And then 4 of these packs of long painter sticks. There's 3 in each. Now we're going to take our J and lay it right next to the painter stick, making sure that there's enough wood showing on the top and bottom of the letter. Then we marked it. Now real quick before I jump into using my miter box, I had a friend on my channel say, Heidi, why don't you put some hot glue on the bottom? It'll help it make stick better to the table and it won't shift around on you. And that worked really well for the first one that I cut, but after that the dust got underneath it and it still shifted. So thank you for the idea, but unfortunately that one is not going to work and I will most likely still go back to using my sticky no slide mat. All right. Once I cut off all of the handles on the long painter sticks, I went ahead and spread them out enough to get that shiplap look. And now I'm just going to add some hot glue and some wood glue, and I'm going to work really quick so I make sure nothing dries, and then I'm going to stick down the long stick that's going the opposite direction of all of these. I put one on the top and the bottom, and then I flipped it over and I stapled all of those joints twice to make sure it was really strong and sturdy and will stay in place, especially if, you know, I drop it on accident. I like my things to be built really well. Now I'm going to take some red paint and I'm going to just paint this whole thing on the front and the back. You can paint it whatever color you want, but I decided to go with red because I just love this color right now for Christmas. I'm doing red and white in my own home, so you'll be seeing that a lot here on my channel. But again, customize it to whatever you would like. Now real quick, I wanted to tell you all, this is a card holder because I am doing something special here on my channel. Every single person who sends me a homemade Christmas card, I will send you one back. And here's the thing, I am going to be doing a really unique giveaway. Now make sure you stay to the reveal of this particular project because I'm going to be sharing exactly what I'm talking about. This is so exciting. I've never done this on my channel before, and it's just my way to give back and to say thank you and to send you a Christmas card for those that really are looking forward to having a Christmas card come to their home in the mail. All right, once I had that all painted red, I moved on to the letters and I painted these white. I gave these a couple coats of white paint because I really wanted to make sure they were nice and crisp. And then while those were drying, I'm using my heat gun, friends. I still love this thing so much. It dries things so much quicker. I went ahead and went back over to the barn door and I sanded that down just a little bit to make it look, you know, more farmhousey. I love that, but you don't have to sand it, you can skip that. And then I sealed the letters with Mod Podge. Now once my barn wall sign was all dry, I went ahead and used my drill and I drilled out holes all along the bottom. And then I'm going to take some twine and I'm using long strands and I'm actually using 2 different lengths. I want to be able to use these to hang up the cards going down them, and I thought this would be a really cute way to display the cards. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking my twine and I'm just simply threading that through the holes, and I'm going to bring down a bead because I want this to just, you know, look uniform at the top and look pretty. And then I slid that through and I'm just tying a knot to hold the bead in place, cut off that extra twine, and then I'm going to do about 4 lengths and then I'm going to tie another knot. 4 lengths of my finger, I should probably say that. 4 finger lengths and then tie a knot, and I go all the way down at the very bottom. I tie on a bead. Now I did that so that the cards won't slip off when I clip them on. Now I'm adding on some hot glue to my letters and I really want them to stay on. I don't want them popping off, so I'm coming around on the back side and I'm building up some hot glue in between that shiplap, and then I'm just going to staple into those letters just to make sure everything is nice and snug. Now once I'm all done, I'm going to add on a twine so I can hang it up and cut it and staple it and hot glue it so everything looks nice and finished. I am so excited because this is the first time I have ever done this on my channel, and I hope it will become a tradition. I want to say thank you to all of you for how wonderful this year has been, having you in my life as my viewers. I would like for you to send me a homemade Christmas card, and when I receive it in the mail, I will be doing something back in return. I have 500 Christmas cards to send out to all of you, and I will go until I run out of Christmas cards. Inside each of those Christmas cards, there will be a special gift for every single person who receives one of my cards, and there will be 5 lucky winners to give back. I know this year has been hard on so many people, and I wanted to find a way to give back. Now, this is my address. Send it to my P.O. box. I will be collecting them there all throughout Christmas. The last date to turn them into me is on December 18th. I look forward to reading all of your cards, and I cannot wait to feature some of them here on my channel. So good luck to everyone. I will be announcing this all throughout the month, so make sure you get your Christmas cards sent off to me. And remember, I'm looking for homemade, unique Christmas cards. For this DIY, we are going to be using a really chunky, thick yarn in white and red, and we're also going to be using an ornament from the Dollar Tree. Now, a trick I like to do is I always like to put my yarn inside of some type of a box that has a hole, so that way it doesn't roll off the table and pick up any dust or whatever might be around my craft space. So I'm just going to thread that through the whole of this Dollar Tree box, and then I can get started on my craft. Start by taking the 2 ends of the yarn, and you're going to go ahead and just put them right in the center, the bottom of the ornament. Then you're going to start adding some hot glue and coiling it around. Once you've got that started, you're going to go ahead and just take your hot glue, and I like to kind of go in a zigzag back and forth with my hot glue to make sure that I'm covering all of my surface that I will need for the yarn to really catch and stick to the ornament. Then as I'm going back and forth, I'm making sure I'm pulling the yarn around nice and snug, so that way it doesn't want to come unravel over time. And make sure when you're doing it, try your very best not to tap the hot glue, obviously because it will burn you, but also because when that hot glue gets on your hand, it wants to naturally pull up that yarn. So you're going to want to make sure that you're being as cautious as you can with this one. But it is so fun, and how cool could this be? You could do this with any color. You can do it with even more than 2. I really loved how this turned out. As I was coiling around more and more and more, I thought this could be so cool if I made a whole bunch of these and had this for whatever my color theme is, because I'm always changing things out throughout my home, always for Christmas and all the seasons. So here I am towards the end. I'm bringing it up nice and tight to the lid or the little cap, and then I'm going to add some hot glue, and then this is the trick. I like to take my hot glue and I just like to press that right down on there to smooth it out with the hot glue. And then to conceal that last little part of the hot glue, I added a bow. And now this is my tip whenever I'm doing ornaments. I like to thread through a piece of twine. I'm going to go back so you can see it again. I fold it in half. I slip down that knot or that little loop that we have, and this is going to allow your ornament to stay out from it turning or going to the side and it not being centered towards the front. Then I'm simply going to tie a knot up at the top, and then I'm going to cut it off and then add a little bit of hot glue to seal it and tie it all together so that way it doesn't come unraveled over time, and then you have a nice clean look at the very top of your ornament. And once you're all done and everything's all dry, you're ready to hang it up on your Christmas tree. If you are new to my channel, my name is Heidi Sonboul, and this is my DIY channel. Here throughout the Christmas season, I am going to be posting on 2 days, 10 on Tuesday and my Friend Fridays. My Friend Fridays are one of my favorite days, so don't forget to come back on Fridays. Now, this particular Friday is actually the DIY challenge. Everyone who has a YouTube channel is welcome to play along. How you will do it is by following these rules. The playlist will go live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, if you are not a YouTuber and you just like to watch, don't forget I have a whole bunch of mega videos in all different holidays and themes. I'm going to link that playlist down below so you can get to it. So if you're interested in more of my videos and you want some more inspiration, head on down there and click that playlist. For this next ornament, we're going to be using a large ornament, again from the Dollar Tree, and some of their red and white gingham ribbon. Now we're going to go ahead and take off the cap because we're going to be putting some paint on the inside. This is a trick that has been around for a long time, but we're going to do something special with this. So we're going to just take that white paint, We're going to shake it around in there until we get all the sides covered, and then just make sure you drain out the excess paint. You don't want to have a lot of paint in there because that's going to cause it to have an issue later, and it will take forever to dry. So once you tap it a few times and you just let it sit there, the majority of the paint is going to naturally want to drain out. Once all the paint has drained out and it's dried, go ahead and start by wrapping a ribbon around. I'm going to be using this red and white gingham ribbon that I got so lucky when I found this at the Dollar Tree in their floral section. I couldn't believe it. They had it in all different colors, and I snagged a whole bunch because I just love this and I use this ribbon all the time. So once I wrapped it around, I'm now going to add on a little bow to the front. For this DIY, we're going to be taking a can lid, an actual glass jar lid that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I took it outside and I spray painted it black, and now I'm going to use some scrapbook paper from this pad of paper. I'll link it down below, but I liked this one in particular because I felt like this damask looked like it had a little Christmas tree on it. So I went ahead and traced a circle with that center piece on the lid, and now I'm going to just cut it out. I'm going to glue it on with some hot glue, and then I'm going to pop that right into the metal ring. I'm adding in some hot glue on the four corners of this round lid, and now I'm going to just pop that in there so it stays in there nice and snug. Once that's nice and dry and ready to go, I'm going to take my Crop-A-Dile. This is one of my favorite tools. I'll link it down below. In fact, I'll link all my tools down below. But this particular tool is the coolest because it goes through metal and wood and plastic, anything you can think of, it will most likely go through. Leather. So you can see that I ended up popping out 2 holes there, and I'm putting on a piece of twine. I tied a knot, brought it back inside of the can because I wanted to make sure it had a nice clean look. And now I'm going to bring through a piece of wire going the opposite direction down into the can. And this is so that I can wire on this little greenery. Now you don't have to do this, but I felt like the lip was not very thick on the rim or the ring of this, you know, lid. I wanted to make sure it stayed on there. So I'm just going to use this to just twist on, snip off the extra, and that way it really stays on there really well. And it's made with, you know, quality versus just kind of gluing it on. I don't really trust glue that much. And then I'm going to add on some berries and a little bow, and at this point it's ready to be hung up and displayed. For this ornament, I'm going to be using some E6000 and some glitter and the small ornaments that you can get at the Dollar Tree. Now, this glue is on its last leg. That's typically how I am with my supplies. I like to squeeze every little bit out and get my money's worth. So we're going to take this and smooth it on like you would smooth frosting on a cake. And we're not going to go all the way over the whole ball. We're going to do it at the bottom and the top so that the middle part remains clear. Once you've got it on the bottom, go ahead and tap that in the glitter. The E6000 is going to make it bond to the ornament without it flaking off and going everywhere. Do not use hot glue because it'll just peel right off over time, and the E6000 really does lock in. Then go ahead and add on some more glitter towards the top, and you can see here in the middle that I've left it clear. This makes it look like frost is just coming all over the ornament, which is so cool. Now, once it's all dry, go ahead and take the ribbon of your desire, and you're going to go ahead and just go through the hole. I folded my ribbon in half. I went through the hole, pulled that loop down, and then up at the top, I want to finish and make the look of it look really high quality and just, you know, finished properly. Then I took some hot glue and I just folded over those 2 ends together so that there's not a knot at the top. And then now I'm going to add on a little bow to really just dress it up and make it look so festive for your Christmas tree. Real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to my boys because I'm a proud mom. They have just started their very own YouTube channel. It is called Sonboul Legos. Their first video is going up this next week. I cannot wait for you all to see it. I'm so excited for them. Go over and check them out. I've linked them down below in my description box. For this ornament, we are going to be using the small ones from the Dollar Tree, and we are going to start by just popping off the top from the ornament, and then we're going to fill it with white paint. Tap it around until all the sides have been covered, and then make sure you turn it upside down so it can properly drain out any excess paint that we don't need. Once it's dry, go ahead and use a new Sharpie marker. I'm going to be using red, and you're going to do 8 lines. You're going to do a crisscross of the first passing each other, and then you're going to rotate it and go in between those spots. Then when you get to the end, you're going to start making some circles. This is going to start to look like a globe, the longitude and latitude lines. But then where it's going to become magical is we are going to start coloring them in. Anyone know what this pattern might look like? I know this is really popular right now, so leave a comment down below and let me know what you think this ornament is starting to look like. Now we're going to go ahead and take some twine, and we're going to wrap that around the top part. I went ahead and put that back in the little cap, and we're going to take the twine and just at the very top, I want to make sure I conceal that metal up in there. So we're just going to keep threading it through the hole until I make it nice and tight and coiled in, and then anything extra I'm just going to cut it off and press that all down into place so that way it looks really high quality. Once I've got all of that all snipped off and glued into place, I went ahead and moved on to decorating the front of it because I thought it would be really cute to add on some greenery and some berries. You're going to see here that I'm adding on that slip loop knot that I like to do to make sure my ornaments stay front and forward. Whenever you put a hook on them, they're naturally going to want to turn, and this is going to keep it facing forward when you hang it up. So once I've got that knot all done, I added on some of my boxwood with some berries, and I just think this looks so pretty at this point. Once I did that, then I went ahead and added a really pretty double looped bow at the top, and then it was ready to hang up on my Christmas tree and display. This DIY has a free printable for you all. I'm going to link that down below in my description box. But I went ahead and cut them all out with a little bit of a white border around them. And then I took some red and white scrapbook paper, and I'm going to cut the width, not the width, the length of the printable. And I'm going to make sure I follow those pretty candy cane stripes. So once I've got a nice beautiful ribbon where I want it to be placed, I'm going to go ahead and glue on my printable, and then I'm going to just make sure it's stuck nice and secure into place. And at this point, you then can take it and wrap it around something. So I'm going to be using this glass jar from the Dollar Tree. We see everybody working with these all the time, but I thought this would be a really pretty thing to put a treat in for someone. These are really high-end looking treat jars. Other than just sticking it in a little plastic bag, I thought that these would be so cute to give to someone as a gift. And then afterwards they can put candles in them, or they can put pencils in them, or even spatulas in their kitchen if they wanted to. And I'm going to show you a couple different versions to do with this printable. So once I wrapped it around and I glued it into place, I added a bow. Now I wanted to show the new Hershey Kisses. These are the cute wrappings that they have, little Santa hats and little Christmas lights all over them. I thought they were so cute. I went ahead and filled that all up, and then I moved on to those cans you saw earlier for this particular DIY. I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile, and I'm going to sneak it around. These are the cans that have the lids where they have the tabs and you can pull them open. These ones are always a little bit trickier to get into the Crop-A-Dile, but it works just fine too. You just have to kind of wiggle it in there a little bit. and then you can go ahead and punch your holes. If you had the kind of can where you're using your can opener, you won't have to worry around getting around that lip. So once I had my holes punched, I went ahead and added some berry garland on one of them, and then on the other one you're going to see what I'm going to do in just a second. But this one I'm adding on some of that same striped paper because I wanted them to all look, you know, like each other and have that theme going with the stripes. And then now over on the second one, or the third one actually, you're going to see that I'm using the last remainder of that stripe paper. I'm wrapping it around and I'm just going to glue that in place and add on the tag as well. And then once I have those on, I can go ahead and go back to that other can that I was decorating. I added on some greenery, I added on some little berries and a bow, and you're going to see me pull it all together here in just a second. I ended up using my good scissors on this wire garland and I was instantly regretting it, like, oh, I grabbed the wrong scissors. And then fill these last ones up with treats and hand them out to the people that you care so much for and are missing this Christmas season. If you didn't know, I have another channel called Heidi Sonboul Home, and I'm getting ready to start decorating for Christmas. I cannot wait to show all the things I'm going to be doing, so head on over there and make sure you subscribe to that channel as well. For this ornament, we're going to be using the large plastic ball from the Dollar Tree. We're going to snip off that little tag, and then we are going to go ahead and add some paint on the inside of the ornament. Make sure you shake it around and get all the sides covered. I have realized after doing this several times, it's better to put in a nice amount of paint so that it can shift and move around and then just tap out. I don't like wasting paint, but it's just honestly the best way to do this because otherwise you'll be shaking it forever trying to get the paint to cover up all the little spots. And then make sure you turn it upside down and get out the rest of that paint by letting it sit there and tapping it and sit there and tapping it. Once it's dry, go ahead, and I picked up this little round brush from Joann's. I love this little thing. I will be using it a lot more here in my craft room. I will put a link down below in my description box to see if I can try to find it so that you can all go and check it out if you're interested in it. So how it works to get a good polka dot pattern is you do one in the center and then you do 6 polka dots spaced out around the sides, and then you just move down and create the next center, and then you're going to end up finishing doing the 6 polka dots around the side. And then you just continue to do this pattern over and over again. And you can see how there's the center and then here are the 6 dots going around it. Now, once that was all dry, I went ahead and added on some twine, and then I'm adding on a bow at the very top to conceal the knot, cut off the extra and hung it up to display. For this DIY, we're going to be using a long tongue depressor stick, some beads, some wire, and then this garland twist wrap stuff that you can get from the Dollar Tree. In fact, all of these supplies are from the Dollar Tree. Go ahead and use your wire scissors, cut off some wire, twist the very end, and then start threading on the beads. And you're not going to make this too long. I can't remember how many beads it was that I slipped on here, but I'm just going back and forth in the different sizes. And then we want to make a small ring, nothing too big. I don't want to be able to put my hand through it, but maybe my daughter probably could. And then once it's done, go ahead and twist the ends to make sure it's nice and secure in place. I took those outside and I spray painted them red, and while they were drying, you can actually see one over to the side. I went ahead and took that tongue depressor stick and I cut out a dovetail on the end, and now I'm just sanding off all of the extra rough edges. Then I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to write all of my family members' names on these tongue depressor sticks that will now become like a little banner. I just think these are so sweet, especially if you like to, you know, think about your family members, or if you're a grandparent and you want to have all your grandchildren's names on the Christmas tree. This is a really sweet DIY. Or if you're a crafter and want to give all of the grandkids' names to a grandma or a grandpa to put on their tree. Like I said, this is such a sweet heirloom gift to give someone. Then I added some greenery up at the top, some little leaves, a little bow, and then I threaded on a piece of twine up at the top to make sure I had my knot. And then I pulled that knot down so it could conceal it, because we don't want to see that messy knot up at the top. And then I just simply hot glued it into place and it was ready to hang up. If you didn't know, I'm over on Instagram and I post there all the time in my stories. It's a great way to keep up with what I'm doing in my craft room. One of the things I do, and I wanted to tell you all about if you haven't heard, I host a weekly challenge with some friends over on Instagram. You do not have to have a YouTube account to do this. It is for friends that are on Instagram. Simply share your DIY with us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For more information, just message me over on my account and I will get you all set up so that you can join the tour. It's so much fun and it's very, very little pressure to join at all. It's just come and have fun and post your crafts with us. For this DIY, I'm going to be taking a large ornament from the Dollar Tree and some canvas type fabric, and then I'm going to be using my rotary blade and I'm going to cut out a whole bunch of strips. Now once I've got those all cut out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take 2 pieces of that and I'm going to hot glue that down at the bottom, because we don't want to see the very bottom of the ornament, and you're going to see why in just a second. So once I've glued those pieces on, I'm now going to take a line of hot glue, a bead of hot glue. Well, I would say a line, not a bead, because that would be like a little dot. Maybe, I don't know. What would be the right word for that? Leave it down below, friends. You're always so good to me by helping correct anything I say weird here on my channel. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm going to do that line of hot glue, and then you can see as I'm scrunching it along the hot glue to create a pleated effect. Then I wanted to make sure that the bottom looks nice and finished and polished, so I'm going to go underneath it and just put a little bit of hot glue around that circle, and then I'm going to take my popsicle stick or whatever you have just to press it down into place. Then we're going to keep working our way up the side of the ornament. We are going to continue to do that line of hot glue, and then we're going to pleat on the next row, and you're just going to keep doing this over and over until we get all the way up to the very top. Now I've learned that you didn't have to go pulling it back and forth, back and forth. You just do the line of glue and just kind of keep scrunching it and pushing it over and sliding it through the hot glue, and it'll allow it to just stick beautifully to the ornament, and it has a nice pleated effect naturally without having to sit there pleating it back and forth. Then when you get to the top and you're on the last one, you're going to come all the way up to the top of the ornament, and you're just going to continue to do the same thing, working in that tighter quarters. And then to really finish off the look, I went ahead and took a rope from the Dollar Tree, untwisted it because there's 3 inside of that thick rope, and then I'm going to go ahead and just coil that and wrap that all around the whole top of the ornament. This ornament is so high-end boutique looking for that farmhouse look. It's incredible how much they charge for these, and this truly was like $1.50 to make. Could you imagine a whole bunch of these? Oh, they could be so beautiful for Christmas. Then simply add your little twist knot up at the top to hang it up. I hope you have felt inspired by this video today and that you will try some of these ornaments and some of these home decor pieces. Thank you so much for everyone who has stopped by to be my friend. Remember, don't forget to send me a Christmas card. And until the next episode, bye friends.